Tropical Storm Barry has increased in strength. I'm Mike Nasa with the latest on the tropics, and we are watching a very disorganized but wet Tropical Storm Barry head towards the North Gulf Coast. Here's the latest on our tropical storm as of 10 p.m. Central, also 11 p.m. Eastern. Barry was at 27.9 north, 89.4 west. Winds are up to 50 miles an hour with higher gusts, so it's now a moderate tropical storm. It's moving west at only 3 miles an hour as it moves south of a high pressure ridge. However, this will eventually end up pulling west-northwest into landfall by Saturday as a strong tropical storm or potentially a Category 1 hurricane. The pressure is still sitting about 1,000 millibars or so, but it has been slowly strengthening. You can see it could be as far west as areas, say, near the Texas-Louisiana border, or as far east as areas of, say, New Orleans. Right now, though, it is a lopsided storm, and the main threat, due to the slow motion and the very large extent of it, will be heavy rainfall. There's our Barry on the satellite, and even though it's not visible, you can clearly see the circulation there spinning very slowly. Notice this flattening out here. It is undergoing northerly shear, so it is much less organized on the north side. In fact, if you just kind of didn't show this part of the storm, you might think there was a significant system there headed for Louisiana as far as intensity, and right now you don't have that. Very good outflow on the eastern side, but again, it is sheared on off from the north, and so it does have this gutted appearance. Nevertheless, heavy rainfall. It doesn't matter the strength of the storm when it comes to the amount of rain you can get from it. And you already see some high cloud bursting there over the Gulf Coast in the direction that the upper level winds will eventually take it, which is slowly west and then a bend into Louisiana sometime in the next 36 to 48 hours. As far as the rainfall goes, you can see the radar there. We're not seeing a whole heck of a lot of rain yet, although there are those bands developing, as mentioned, in areas of western Mississippi just crossing into Louisiana, and you can obviously see the rotation from the circulation of Barry as it moves slowly west. You will have deep feeds of tropical moisture that will prolong rain events big time for you, and that's why we're looking. This is out of Lake Charles. You can see areas like Morgan City, 15 to 20 inches of rain. That's really, really heavy stuff, even up towards Alexandria, 4 inches perhaps. Lower amounts as you get towards Beaumont into areas there of East Texas, but again, if it moves further to the west, these totals could be higher for you in the areas of Texas, so you want to keep an eye on this as well. But this heavy rainfall is going to be a very, very dangerous flood risk for areas of Louisiana, which has already been some of those rivers, as I showed yesterday, high tide gauges, stuff like that, and so it's all going to be prolonged. To say nothing of the wind, which if this becomes a Category 1 hurricane, areas right immediately at the coast will have hurricane winds, which is obviously a problem because you're getting hit by a hurricane. And this would be the first July hurricane on the Gulf Coast, I want to say, since Hurricane Dennis in 2005. I might be wrong on that, but I believe it's been, probably about 14 years. So it doesn't happen too often, but we do have storms in July. Hopefully this is the only one we got to deal with, but there's a lot of hurricane season left to go. There are those computer models, and you can see some of the ensembles are a little bit more towards the west over the last couple of hours, but in general a direction towards the west, then the west-northwest, kind of curving into the middle of the Louisiana coastline, similar to where Hurricane Lily made landfall in October of 2002. Lily came ashore as a Category 1 hurricane very near Lafayette, New Iberia, that area there, intercoastal city, Louisiana. So if you're in that region, you could be directly in the line of fire for landfall, but again, the heavy rain will extend well to the east of where the system makes landfall, and so there is that threat. You can see the UK Met insisting that it's going to move much further south and west and then end up right in Galveston Bay. Right now that is an outlier, so the writing seems pretty on the wall for a Louisiana landfall from Barry. There's a look at the wind shear, and you can see obviously this little jet of wind shear here, these little orange lines, that is impacting the cyclone, which is why it's having trouble strengthening at a quicker rate. But nevertheless, it is slowly strengthening, and it does have a lot of moisture to work with there. Obviously, very, very, very hot Gulf of Mexico sea surface temperatures. The high octane heat content is no problem for Barry. So it's more a matter of how long does it take to get organized and get over water. That's kind of the situation that he's in right now. And you can see this beautiful shot here as the sun went down that clearly shows where our center of circulation is, right in there, very bone dry and not very well organized. But around it, you got all this rain that's going to be impacting areas of Louisiana. So again, even if Barry doesn't become a hurricane, you're still going to have rainfall to deal with. But right now, there's a decent shot it will achieve hurricane strength. It's still got about 24 to 36 hours over water. So we're going to be watching it very carefully. If you live in Louisiana, batten down the hatches. If you're in a flood area, an evacuation zone, and you need to get out, do so. Remember, it is not the strength of the storm when it comes to rainfall. Even a heavy downpour sometimes floods areas down there, and this is going to be a very heavy tropical storm at the very least, if not a hurricane. So I will see you next time, and we'll continue to watch Barry.